An ordinary 15-year-old boy, Carlo Acutis, became the first saint of a new generation. He lies in a crystal coffin wearing jeans, sneakers, and a bright hoodie, while long lines of people come to see him. Young people, the elderly, mothers with children. And yet, not so long ago, he was just a regular schoolboy who played video games, programmed, and believed in God. But how did this Italian teenager become a saint? And why has his story become a source of hope for millions of people around the world? Why do they call him the patron of the internet and a messenger of God? Watch this video to the end to learn about the amazing story of Carlo Acutis. Let's begin. Carlo was born on May 3, 1991, in London. But soon his family returned to their homeland in Italy. His parents were well-off people. They were not religious, but their son had an extraordinary sense of faith from an early age. At the age of 7, he insisted on receiving his first communion, an important step for every Catholic. It is the moment when a person consciously chooses faith and feels a special closeness to God. Usually children are allowed to take it later, but Carlo was so serious that the priest gave him permission. From that moment, he began attending Mass every day. By the age of 11, Carlo was already explaining the basics of faith to younger children, telling them about God, about prayers, and about how to live a Christian life. But his faith was not like fanaticism. It was natural and a part of who he was, and even his friends did not know much about it. He did not give up ordinary teenage activities. He loved to play soccer, video games, spend time with friends, and walk his dog. And he also loved helping others. He was friendly with everyone, no matter their faith or social background. With his pocket money, he bought sleeping bags for homeless people, many of whom he knew by name. He volunteered in a soup kitchen in Milan, and in the evenings, he delivered food and hot drinks to the homeless. On his way to school, he could stop to ask someone about their struggles. He prayed for sinners and defended children, especially those with disabilities who were bullied at school. He not only defended them, but was also a true friend to them. He had a big heart and saw the image of God in every person, no matter their status or situation. Carlo's greatest passion was the computer. He learned programming and web design on his own and turned his hobby into a real mission. He created websites for Catholic communities and taught older people how to use the internet. But his main project, to which he dedicated several years of his life, was about Eucharistic miracles. These are events that Catholics believe are special signs of God's presence and a way to strengthen faith. Carlo collected information about hundreds of such miracles around the world. He created a website that is still considered one of the most complete sources on this subject. The young programmer showed that the internet could be a tool for goodness and faith, which is why he was called God's influencer in the digital world. Carlo's life was like a bright flash, short, but its light reached millions. At the age of 15, he was diagnosed with acute leukemia. The illness developed so quickly that doctors gave him no chance. But Carlo accepted this news with remarkable calm and faith, saying, "I offer all my suffering to the Lord for the Pope and for the Church so that I can go straight to heaven." He comforted his parents and asked them not to cry. Carlo fell into a coma and passed away on October 12, 2006. According to his last wish, Carlo's body was buried in Assisi, the city of St. Francis, who was his role model. But the story did not end there. People began to talk about Carlo. Friends, teachers, and priests shared their memories, and posts about him started to appear on the internet. His mother, Antonia Salzano, after going through this terrible loss, did not close herself in grief. She began speaking at conferences and spreading his spiritual legacy, telling people about his life, showing his website, and sharing how he lived and believed. Thanks to her, people outside of Italy learned about Carlo, and his story spread around the world. People started praying to him, asking for help, support, and inspiration. His grave in Assisi turned into a place of pilgrimage. Teenagers, the elderly, and mothers with children came there. People shared stories that after Carlo's funeral, one woman was healed from cancer, and another became pregnant even though she had been considered infertile. In 2013 in Brazil, a prayer service was held in honor of Carlo. A 6-year-old boy named Mateus, who had a split pancreas, was present. The boy prayed and touched a fragment of Carlo's t-shirt, and 3 days later, doctors confirmed that the condition had disappeared. A special commission recognized this as a miracle, and after 14 years, Carlo was beatified. His body was exhumed, moved to a church, and placed in a crystal coffin. And then something happened that shocked the whole world. His body was found to be partially incorrupt. Carlo's face, though not perfectly preserved, looked whole, as if he had simply fallen asleep. His body was dressed in casual clothes, a hoodie and jeans, and placed in a crystal coffin open for veneration. This image of the saint in a hoodie became a symbol for a new generation. For Carlo to be officially declared a saint, miracles were needed. Thousands of people around the world began praying to him, and reports of incredible healings multiplied. The first miracle officially recognized by the church was the healing of the Brazilian boy. The second miracle happened to Valeria, a young woman from Costa Rica. She had suffered a severe head injury after a fall, and doctors gave her no chance of survival. Her mother prayed fervently to Carlo Acutis, and once again the incredible happened. The girl came out of her coma and fully recovered. These two miracles became the final links in the chain of events that led to his canonization, the official recognition of Carlo as a saint. But who decided that it was Carlo who should become a messenger of God? For many Catholics, the answer is clear: it is God's will. But critics believe this was a pragmatic step by the Vatican. In our time, when people are drifting away from religion and the church is looking for ways to reach young people, a saint from a new generation seems like the perfect answer. It is a way to show that the church is keeping up with the times. And even if that is the case, what is the true value of this saint for young people? He breaks the stereotype that faith is boring and old-fashioned. Carlo showed that you can live in the modern world, enjoy its benefits, and still have deep faith. He is an example of how to use technology not for meaningless entertainment, but for service. Once speaking to young people, Pope Francis quoted Carlo's words, "We are all born originals, but many of us die as copies," adding, "Don't let this happen to you." In the past, saints were monks or people who gave up ordinary life and withdrew from the world. But Carlo lived among us. He studied in a regular school and played regular games. And that is what makes him unique. Today in Assisi, at Carlo's crystal coffin, people gather every day. Some ask for help, some whisper words of thanks, and some simply remain silent. His image in a hoodie and sneakers does not push people away, it draws them in. His crystal coffin feels like a window between two worlds. Now many argue, was it too early to make him a saint? Was it too soon?